Hello everyone, this is Sam Car Legion. Welcome back to another video. Finally, the 2021 Nissan Rogue has landed and I had the opportunity to review it and also compare it to the previous generation. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe because I'm going to compare the 2021 Rogue to other vehicles. And if you have a specific one that you want me to put it up against, please leave a comment in the section below and don't forget to hit like. So, what's new for 2021? The fully redesigned Nissan Rogue is here, and today I'm going to review it for you. I'll show you everything you need to know about the new Nissan Rogue. And of course, how does it compare to the older model? That is the goal for today's video. Let's start first with the pricing. Of course, you will be paying slightly more for the new model, but it is justifiable because you're getting a lot more features and of course a new design for 2021. Next thing is the engine, more powerful and a higher torque. New rack electric power steering, an all-new vehicle motion control system, and Nissan says the all-new vehicle motion control predicts what the driver is trying to do by monitoring the steering, acceleration, and braking. You can then step in and help to smooth things out. You also have the option to get a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive system. For today's video, we have the Platinum, which is the top trim, and of course an all-wheel drive drivetrain. The new model also comes with 5 driving modes. You have, of course, the Sport, Off-Road, Standards, and Eco. Apparently the new Rogue was tested in Canada and is ready for the Canadian cold winter. Let's move on to the exterior design. How does it compare to the older model? Well, first of all, it looks pretty sleek this year. The design of the exterior from the front end all the way to the rear is quite impressive. If you look carefully with the older model, and you can see the U-shaped body sides, headlights, and of course the multi-level LED headlights. The 2020 Rogue has an evolved V-motion grille. As you can see side by side with the older model had a bit of a smaller V-shaped grille, meanwhile the new one is more extended left and right. Now here's an interesting design compared to the older model. The previous generation had the side skirt attached to the actual frame. Meanwhile, the new one has the side skirt attached to the door, which is pretty good because in case if the vehicle gets dirty on the exterior, when you open the door and you try to step in, of course you won't get dirty because the side frame is clean the entire time. Here's another interesting new design feature. The second row doors open 90 degrees, unlike the older model, which also means you have easy access in case if you have a child seat. Now, in terms of dimension, the new Rogue is 1.5 inches shorter and 0.2 inches lower than the previous generation. Somehow, side by side, it looks bigger. The new Rogue features an active grille shutter to control airflow into the engine compartment and an air curtain that directs airflow from the front to the sides. As you can see, the front bumper left and right, you have that open area on the side of bumper which basically lets the air go through and flow all the way through the body on the left and right sides. Even though the new model is lower than the previous generation, somehow they managed to keep the same height for the tailgate. So if you can see, I usually do a test between two vehicles when I compare them and find out which one opens the tailgate the most, in case if you have something that you want to put inside the trunk. This way you don't have to kind of like duck down in order to get inside the tailgate. That is very good for this year because, as I said, the vehicle is actually lowered, but the actual tailgate opens slightly more than the previous generation, as you can see from this video. Another interesting design is the trunk layout. It offers more space by removing the covers, or you can use them to sort of hide things underneath. In case if you're celebrating Halloween, you put your trick-or-treats in there so the kids don't see them. I did the usual test between the older generation and the new Nissan Rogue to find out how they compare in terms of cargo space and space in general in the first row and the second row. And here's what I think. In the second row, space is similar, except the new model seats sit much lower, which has given more headroom and slightly more leg room. The driver's position is very similar, even the sitting position. The new Rogue looks small on the outside, but definitely big on the inside. For someone my height, this vehicle feels spacious, but not oversized. Now here are some things that I love about the new Rogue compared to the previous generation. First of all, we have wireless CarPlay. This is a must feature for me. Once you establish a connection with your phone, no need to plug in your phone to have a wireless CarPlay. Disappointing part is that this is not offered for Android Auto, but you can use the USB ports. The second thing I like about this is the shifter. A lot of new SUVs are coming with buttons and different ways to sort of change the actual shift knob. I don't like them. This is much easier and definitely faster for me. It took me one try for me to get used to it. The next thing I love about the new Nissan Rogue is of course the cluster. fully digital and customizable, sharp quality, and of course massive. Now here is a comparison to the older model, which of course was totally outdated. In the new Nissan Rogue, we have a much better cluster. The next thing I love about this is the 360 camera, which is very sharp. When you get close to objects while driving forward, it will turn on so you have visibility. I absolutely love that. Also, for better aerodynamics, the size of the side cameras has changed, smaller, and here's a comparison with the older model, and also here's a comparison with the camera quality. The difference is there for sure. The next thing I love about the new Rogue is the Safety Shield 360. This includes intelligent emergency braking with pedestrian detection, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure warning, high beam assist, and the rear intelligent emergency braking. The Rogue is one of the first vehicles to offer Nissan ProPilot Assist, a hands-on driver assist technology that reduces the hassle of stop and go on highway driving, makes it better for long drives. And of course, the ProPilot Assist, I took it for a test drive to see how it does on normal roads. And here's how the test went. It is very intuitive, direct, not bouncing left and right, it is consistent, except this sharp turn. It felt like the car was driving more on the left than it was onto the center. But in certain turns, it kept the car right in the center. So here's another example in a slightly less sharp turn. There are a lot of things that I love about the Nissan Rogue, but there are some things that I was disappointed. First of all, no cooling seats in the front. A lot of vehicles offer that these days. It's an amazing feature because in Canada, it's not just cold, it's also really hot in summer. So ventilated or cooling seats, whatever you want to call it, are very important to me in summertime, especially during August or July where the heat gets really extreme. This was a bit disappointing, I must say. The next thing that I didn't find in the Nissan Rogue, in the new Platinum Rogue, was the power folding mirrors. I know it has a 360 camera, which is very useful, but a lot of people want to have that extra option for the folded mirrors, auto-folding mirrors. Now, the mirrors itself actually tilt when you put it in reverse, but adding that extra features when it comes to power folding would have made a huge difference in terms of the options that this vehicle has. But if they had done that, I'm sure the price would have increased a little bit more. Now, what do I think about the driving capability of this vehicle? How does it drive? Is it comfortable? Is it softer than the older model? Is it noisier than the older model? Well, that's what we're gonna find next. So I'm gonna take it for a test drive and let you know my thoughts about the new Nissan Rogue and how does it compare to the older model. Now, let's go for a test drive. Okay, let's go for a drive. Let's start first with the standard road. Then we're gonna take it on a highway to test out a few features of the new Nissan Rogue. First of all, just want to say a few things. Absolutely love what Nissan has done with this vehicle. Absolutely love everything about it, from the exterior, the interior. Feels so much more luxurious than the older model. It feels so much better than the older model too. Especially one thing I realized for me, my height, is the rear, the second door. It's so open, like wide open, that it's so easy for people that have kids and basically use a child seat. It's going to be so easy to actually put the seat inside. It will be so much easier than the older model. That is so helpful. Not sure why other manufacturers don't follow this. I know some have it, but this is wide open and love it. In terms of the sitting position for the driver's side, so much more comfortable, spacious as well. Everything is well aligned. Everything is where it should be from the infotainment system. It's perfectly positioned, not any glare coming through. Like for example, the Ford Explorer is one perfect example that I think Ford could have done better with that vehicle, because it's sort of like tilted. It looks like an iPad. You want to remove it from there. This is perfect in my opinion. They've done a fantastic job. One of my favorite SUVs at this point, and don't forget, I'm always comparing cars, so this will be on the list. Let me know if you have a specific one that you like that you want me to compare. But for this, at this point, what we are reviewing, the single review, this versus the older model, I think the improvements are noticeable from the exterior to the interior. Definitely, there's a lot of changes, a lot of new features, technology-wise as well. Let's talk about comfort level. Comfortable inside, not very stiff, not very soft as well, but bearable. You can enjoy a drive in here. I'm taking it on certain areas in Toronto where I know there's a lot of potholes, as you can see. Just want to feel more the drive in this car. I took it on a highway. I've been driving it for a full day. I just love this thing. I love how it drives. I love how it feels inside. I have my own complaints about it. First of all, I think visibility on the rear side, specifically the third window and the second one, it's not the best in my opinion. Now, keep in mind the Platinum comes with a 360 camera, so every time you get close to an object, the camera turns on, therefore you have a field view in this side, you have a full view. At the same time, you have a blind spot assist, beautiful feature as well, offered in other vehicles. In terms of the seat itself, what I like is that it sits low. For me, it's important where the seat sits low. Some people don't like that. I like it because I like to stretch my leg if I'm going on a long trip. Feels nice and comfortable. The seat itself is amazing. One thing I noticed with this is the heads-up display is huge. Massive heads-up display. You can see quite a lot of information and extremely bright. Maybe because it's a bit dark today, but it's extremely bright in my opinion. I like the cluster in this thing. It's so good and it's on your face kind of thing, but not annoying. Like you can get every single information. One little mistake that I find with this car. So right now I'm sitting in this position and I'm looking straight down. The steering wheel, it's sort of blocking the view from my position. So the only way for me to get full view of it would be just to lift it a little bit, but I'm not the biggest fan of this position. So it's just a matter of finding the perfect position for the steering column, which is manually adjustable. You have the lever located at the bottom. But when I usually have it at this place, I'm missing the entire picture. It's not that you're missing information, it's mostly the shape of it. That's one thing a lot of companies nowadays, they forget with clusters. Yes, it's beautiful to have a digital cluster, but when you have a steering wheel in front of you, sometimes you might be missing some information. In this case, everything is there, but it's sort of cut on left and right. Just a little detail that I think it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but something they have sort of left out on that. Maybe it's probably because of my position. Spacious inside as well, very roomy in the front. You have so many compartments from the armrest here you have at the bottom, because now this is drive-by-wire and you get that compartment underneath so you can put your lunch bag or your cameras or any other equipment you have. If you have anything for your child, that's another thing to use this. Cup holders, spacious as well with power hand brakes. You have also manual mode with this. You can put in manual mode. And you have paddle shifters if you want to have some fun. I'm not sure whether the engine will make you super excited, but I think it will do the job just fine. Now, in terms of the steering wheel, it feels nice and grippy, not too thick. That's what I like about it. It's nice and comfortable. It's well positioned. You have a flat button, easy to use, easy to steer as well. The steering itself is light but direct. That's one thing I noticed with this compared to the older model, is very light but very direct. You turn a little bit and bang, it's perfect. The only thing I might complain a little bit about this, it's the actual top side over here. It's a bit thin over this side, and when you're turning, your fingers kind of like slip a little bit, but it's nothing major. But that's one thing I noticed. So the top side is just a bit thinner over here. Now, it is good at some point because you can grab onto that easily. But other than that, it's just perfect. Now, let me put it into sport mode. There we go. Now we have it in sport mode. You have the knob over here. You can okay, you push it a little, it goes. It has that power. I mean, this is not a performance vehicle, but it does the job just fine. In sport mode, you notice the RPM goes a bit higher, and it revs higher, of course, to give more power to the wheels. Let me turn off the wipers. Another thing I like about this vehicle is the actual wipers. So the older model had wipers, sprinkles on the actual windshield at the front. Meanwhile, this is now on the wiper
which is very good and very efficient in my opinion. It doesn't waste as much water compared to the older model. That's something that people don't know about this. The older models, because it had those two ones, most of the time you'd be wasting a lot more pressure and water. Now with this, it's more efficient because it's more direct as it's wiping, so it's way more efficient than the older stuff. I think that's another reason why companies are moving towards that. Love everything so far. A lot of great things about the new Nissan Rogue. It's very efficient, very family oriented, very family designed as well, with that big family mind. Even if you don't have kids, it's still a great vehicle. It's a vehicle you can use for long trips, in my opinion. It's comfortable, it's spacious, technology wise it's fully loaded, the new one compared to the older model, of course. I absolutely love this thing. I like how it drives. A little bit of a few complaints that I mentioned in regards to visibility and so on, but other than that, the vehicle is fantastic. Another thing I loved about this to end the video is the tailgate. Just because I'm 6'2", I'm taller than the average individual, the tailgate in the back, when you open it, I can stand without any problem, and I love that. That is a great thing, because when you're carrying stuff, you always gotta tilt yourself and like bow down a bit to get inside. I find it with some cars. With this was pretty easy. With that in mind, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe.